David, really good to have you with us again. How clear is it just who is in control of this very crucial crossing, Mayawadi?
It's really not very clear, but just in the past few hours, some footage and photos have emerged of Karen National Liberation Army soldiers under the so-called Friendship Bridge, right on the border by the Moy River. And some reports suggest that they're actually in the town. Whether they're controlling all the town is really not clear. But this is really quite a dramatic development. This is the key border trading town between Thailand and Myanmar.
Yeah, and it would be very significant for them to gain control of that, would it not?
Definitely. In 75 years of the conflict between the Karen National Liberation Army and the central state in Myanmar, they never actually controlled Myanmar. So this is really quite a dramatic development and really shows the gains that the Karen revolutionary forces have been making in the past couple of years.
And it's interesting that the Thai Prime Minister weighed in and said that the junta was losing control. That is quite unusual for them to actually even make a comment like that.
I think that's in response to all of these developments, not just along the border with Thailand, but also along the border with China, along the border with Bangladesh and India. And what we're seeing really is the collapse of the Myanmar military in key borderland areas. They're not really being threatened in the centre, at least not yet, but they do seem to be collapsing in the weight of multiple resistance forces all around the country. These are really quite remarkable developments.
Yeah. How united are the groups that are causing this disruption and causing this sort of military collapse?
They're certainly not united in any kind of structural way. I mean, they all speak to each other. Quite a few of them have trained and worked together for many years. There's certainly a lot of interoperability when it comes to arms sales and training and joint operations. But we have to be careful not to say that the National Unity Government is the exile government is calling all the shots here. What we're seeing in Myanmar is really driven by the Karen insurgency forces themselves. They're not taking orders from anyone else.
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of cooperation, but not in any kind of vertical structural way.
And I guess that leads to my next question: is what does these defeats of the junta, the military, actually mean for the ruling junta, and could it lead to the weakening of their ability to control the country?
I think that control is being gradually eroded all throughout the country, but not necessarily in the centre. In the key cities like Yangon and Mandalay, and where all the defence factories are and huge kind of military installations all the way through the centre of the country, they're not under threat yet. What we're really seeing is the collapse around the borderlands, around the hinterlands, and pressure kind of pulsating internally. And so I think it's premature to say that there's going to be a collapse anytime soon, but certainly a very serious weakening. And to me, in the long term, the military regime is finished, but we just don't know how long that term is going to be.
Yeah, it could drag on for a little while. I noticed reports that they are trying to recruit Rohingya. How widespread is that practice?
That's really quite alarming, because the military government announced 2 months ago this military conscription law, and about half the country has seen incidences of people either being forcibly conscripted, being compelled into volunteering. It's all quite murky. And quite remarkably, going after a population they tried to expel were guilty of ethnic cleansing just several years ago. And something like 100 Rohingya have already been killed by some estimates. Photos of Rohingya in Myanmar army uniforms, dead in bases, essentially being used not as frontline troops, but as human shields. And I think that's the most alarming thing, that they're being press-ganged in the service and basically being used as some form of armour for the regular Myanmar army troops. So again, just more and more suffering to the Rohingya community, unfortunately.
And it's just a horrifying concept, and I guess they don't have much capacity to resist being signed up.
Certainly not. And the military is actually providing inducements, they're providing cash payments and rice. And also for some young Rohingya men being offered a gun and a uniform and some kind of form of empowerment after having been basically treated as second-class citizens, or as not citizens at all, actually, for many years. They're really faced with a very difficult set of choices.
Yeah. It would speak to enormous instability for the country even more broadly. Julie Bishop, I notice, has been appointed UN envoy to Myanmar. What impact can she have? What will her role be?
Well, her role, unfortunately, is an almost impossible one. She's got to try and make sense of this mess and actually deal with all parties to the conflict, which means, multiple insurgencies, the National Unity Government, and in some way with the State Administration Council, with the military regime itself. She's got to deal with China. She's got to deal with Thailand, probably the two most important neighbouring countries when it comes to this. And, the UN doesn't have a very strong track record with some of these envoys. So, even if you think that Julie Bishop is a good choice, and I think she's definitely a very good choice, she's facing a real uphill struggle here to actually achieve anything meaningful.
Yeah, it is one of those very almost impossible positions. Great to talk as always, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you.